Hey guys, I'm Josh. I've just finished a level 3 course. I did my course at Hartwood in Devon. It was a level 3 foundation in counselling skills. It's the sort of the precursor course to the level 4 course, which is an integrative course. So on an integrative course you study several different modalities of counselling that you combine to make the most holistic model. So a level 3 course is about 12 weeks long. The course I did was 1 day a week, but some courses are in the evenings or at the weekends. A typical day is about 9:30, 10 o'clock till 4:35. And the day's sort of laid out in a fairly structured way. So this is obviously specific to the course that I was on, but I imagine that a lot of integrative courses are quite similar. We start the day with what's known as check-in, and I'll go into a bit more detail about what that is in a moment. And then we have sort of generalized teaching in the morning, so like classroom teaching, and then in the afternoon we do some like group skills work, so practical work, and finally in the afternoon the final thing we do is check out. So that's how the day is structured. So check-ins and check-outs are essentially the same kind of thing. It's really an opportunity for everyone to speak and be listened to by the group, and to kind of talk about where they're at, or to say what's happened during their week, or perhaps to get something off their chest, or to reflect on something. Some people, this is kind of like almost like an open therapy session, I guess, but there's no response. It's just a listening session. Some people take more of like a Gestalt perspective on this. So like I speak about the emotions that I was feeling in the moment, and as I was new to this course and new to speaking in a group, I'd often speak about the sort of tension I felt, the nerves I felt speaking in a group setting, and the things that brought up for me. And other people, sometimes they keep it a bit more surface level, so they might just say what happened in their week, or what issues they might be dealing with at home, or general worries, and you can go as deep or as not deep as you feel comfortable, really. The whole point is that you can say whatever you want and everyone will openly listen. And we do that at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day, and it's really interesting how, for me, like, I'd often check in with a lot of anxiety, and check out, feeling really sort of like full and nourished, because it's really awesome doing a level 3 course. You learn so much about yourself and the mind and emotions, and it's full on, but it's awesome. So at the beginning then, so when you get into the morning session, it's sort of classroom-based teaching. On the course I was on anyway, even though it's classroom teaching, it's teachers at the front, she's telling you about these techniques, you're taking notes, it's kind of more formal. There's often little pit stops during the topics. My tutor would often stop and be like, what do you guys think about this? What does this bring up for you? Talk about triggers. A lot of people often find some of the topics difficult, so we'd talk about that, and it was really great to do that because it often gave us like such a deeper understanding of of the technique, or of the of how to implement this. And then in the afternoon, normally the structure would be that we'd do skills-based work, so often going into groups of 3 called the triads, practicing counselling. So in a group of 3 there'd be a counsellor, a client and an observer, and would often take it in turns to play those roles, allowing us to develop the use of those techniques with people we know. This is actually quite amazing. Sometimes it can go really deep, and essentially it's like free therapy, because if you're playing the role of the client, you're bringing stuff that you want to talk about from your own experience, and obviously that's pretty cool if you're keen for that. And it's great to be a counsellor and practice in a sort of safe environment, and have someone who can give you feedback, and hopefully honest feedback. And then at the end of the day we go back to checkout, which is, similar to check-in, but often people are reflecting on the day in the checkout. So what kind of techniques and what do you learn on a level 3 counselling course? So my course was an integrative course, and each day in the 12 days that the course takes place, we learn like different techniques, some more general, some more specific, and often it would be a day spent on a particular area or modality. So we did a Gestalt day, so a day spent learning about Gestalt counselling, a day spent learning about cognitive behavioural therapy, a day spent on person-centred therapy, and then more general days where we would just talk about listening skills, self-awareness, empathy, the Johari window, some transactional analysis, so looking at the drama triangle, do a lot of like work on shame. And yeah, it's really wide. I mean, it's quite an intense course because you do sort of like a whistle-stop tour, I guess, of all the different areas of counselling in a very short space of time, but it really gives you a flavour of whether you're going to actually like counselling or not. And for me, it was super helpful because pretty much like week 1, week 2, I was like, yeah, this, having been someone who was not sure, and that's why I'd taken the course, I was pretty much convinced this was for me after I'd done like 1 or 2 weeks. Mainly because we, one, I had a great tutor and a great group that I was with, and I just really enjoyed learning about the material and putting it into practice and seeing how the things I was learning was impacting my life day to day as well. Yeah, and it's very exciting when you start a level 3 course. I mean, the tutor herself said to us all, often, well, she didn't say often, she said, this will be a life-changing course for you all. And she's not wrong. It makes you think about your relationships with other humans, your relationship with yourself. It just changes everything in a really positive way. It's just your awareness, your self-awareness just increases so much. It's really profound. And so now I've decided to go onto the level 4 course, which I'll tell you a bit more about in a moment. It's nice, son. So on a level 3 course, you keep a learning journal. You do roughly 500 words, maybe a bit more than that, per week, just reflecting on what you've learned and what it's taught you about yourself. What you start to find out when you're doing a counselling course is that there's less emphasis on the course I was on anyway, there's less emphasis on learning the techniques, although that's super important, but the most important part is self-reflection, so growing yourself. Self-awareness is like a really big part of counselling because you don't want to be misjudging people. Being able to be a safe space for someone else means that you need to have some robustness in your own emotions, and you don't want your clients coming to you and them triggering you in sessions. So we need to know ourselves well. We need to be with ourselves and learn what things we need to work on first. And it would appear that a lot of counselling training is a lot of that type of work. So developing yourself is the primary, the techniques are sort of secondary. And I really love that. So even if you do this course and you don't become a therapist or a counsellor, you're going to get stuff out of it that just helps you just enjoy being a human more, really. So the learning journals are sort of a self-reflection. There's some assignments, so I think there was 4 assignments. First assignment was a contracting exercise. So contracting is essentially where you draw up a document and have a conversation with your client about the boundaries around what you're doing as a counsellor. So talking about explicitly the confidentiality agreement between you and the client, when you might have to break that, so in sort of like extreme circumstances where it's required by law that you must, talking about your own boundaries as a counsellor in terms of your timings, etc. We do a little exercise on that. It's actually a scripted exercise where you pretend to have that conversation with the client, and you write a script for that. So another assignment that we did was a theory assignment. So it was a research-based assignment. I think it was 2,000 words, maybe a little bit less. I think it was 500 words on each counselling method, showing what you've learned about, in this case it was CBT, Gestalt and person-centred therapies. I found it really interesting because I just learned loads more about those modalities and it was really useful to me. The theory assignment, there's no requirement to use like referencing. You do have to provide like a book list. I decided to do referencing just because I knew how to do it, but you don't have to. So if you don't know anything about that you can just do a book list and say where you got your sources from, like websites or books or whatever. So that's one of the assignments. Another one was a personal development, like a reflection assignment. So we did, again, I think that was 2,000 words, and it's kind of like just a big learning journal, really. It's kind of a culmination of what you've learned throughout the course. So doing a big self-reflection on what you've learned, and going a bit deeper than you would in a learning journal, and bringing in some of the things you've learned about counselling to how you've learned about yourself. And then the final assignment was a self-reflection on skills practice. So you could take any session that you had, probably a good one, or one you learned from, or one that really didn't go well, one that was important to you that you could write a bit about, and just answer some questions about how you could improve that session, what you think went well, and trying to have just sort of an honest dialogue with yourself about how it went. And then so the whole point of this course, well, not the whole point, but if you finished a level 3 course, you are now eligible to go on to a level 4. Sometimes you are eligible to go straight to level 4 if you've got previous sort of relevant experience or previous qualifications that, like coaching qualifications, might help you jump straight into level 4. I mean, I'm about to go to level 4, but I'd certainly recommend doing a level 3 anyway, because you just learn so much, and it's just such a great introduction. I really loved it was sort of a really fast, quick, intense overview, really powerful, really gets you ready to like commit to those 2 years when you do a level 4 or more if you're doing sort of a more intense psychotherapy course. For me, it really solidified that I want to do this. So level 3 prepares you for level 4. I'll speak a bit more about level 4 as I begin. I'm actually starting on Monday, so I'll share some videos about that. And if you guys have any questions about level 3, just pop them in the comments and I'll respond. I hope you found that useful. See you again soon.